Did I tell you Dr. Good, Restream chat shut me down the other day?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. You said something.
Cuomo.
Yeah, about the New York guy.
And they shut you down because of that?
Shut me down.
Wow.
First of all, they wouldn't post what I put.
Is my mic? Yeah, my mic's on.
I put something on there twice, and they took
During
it off.
the Restream chat.
And then
During our show?
Yes, and then they took me off. I wasn't allowed to access it
Wow.
back. And I'm paying for that service.
Live from VentureX Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Well, good morning out there, crew members, and welcome back. It is Wednesday. A lot to talk about today. Education.
Is there?
Yeah, there is. Oh, gosh, yes.
Is
Education is on
She
fire.
asks ironically.
Education is on fire, in some cases, literally. We've got Dr. Be Good to sit and talk about that with us this morning. We've also got Brian Glenn calling in from the Right Side Broadcasting, talk about what's going on with the president, what's going on in D.C., and talk about the Trump rally that happened in D.C. this past weekend. Also, we've got a special guest coming on. Hayden Pageant is going to come on. And Collin County is shining right now in the national spotlight.
And Texas.
And so...
Yeah, so good stuff.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
I like saying Collin County.
Good stuff.
Yeah, we're in Texas,
Good
but
stuff.
Collin County.
Collin County especially.
So, good morning to you, Fred Nort, and good morning to the crew. Good morning, Michelle.
Happy Wednesday.
And good morning, Jim Partridge, and everybody on there. You definitely want to tune in. You want to share this out with everybody because we're going to blow it up today. At least I'm going to blow it up. I'm going to go on a JP tirade and give out a lot of Kiss My Butt awards today. And so...
too many to count.
Yep, too many to count. But before we do that, we've got Dr. Be Good on there from the Ask Dr. Be Good show. Don't forget, she airs on Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock and rebroadcasts on Thursdays at 6 p.m. And you don't want to miss her show. She always has something.
Yeah. Always knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, very insightful,
Always.
great guests, things you want to know about what's going on with your kids and education. Good morning, Dr. Good.
Morning. So I'm bringing an article which caught my eye, and that is which schools are pandemic proof. New rankings give insight. And first of all, this is one of those annoying articles that I don't know if you've learned to do this, but when you're going to hit print, have you learned to look at that 12-page article and see how many are commercials? So this is a 12-page article that I printed. Luckily, I've become better at this. I only had to print page 2 to page 8 to get the meat of the article. Everything else was anyway. And so and the article itself was a little bit tough to go through because it wasn't until page 7, and remember I only printed 8 pages, where it actually gave us the definition of what pandemic proof was. But let me start with there's a new nonprofit, Houston-based, which is called Children at Risk, and it tries to rate schools through the lens of equity. And so it's a racial equity index to analyze how well schools are serving students of color. And it's a good thing because I was a longtime Dallas ISD, and I would notice things like the magnet schools would be 30% white, right? Well, if you look at Dallas ISD demographics, they only have 4% white overall. And so, Dallas ISD has the top ranking high school in the nation, but it's a magnet school, and it gets to pick what students go in there. And of course, only your very, very top students go in there.
Oh, it's the most talented of the most talented. I've had friends who their kids have been like a violin prodigy since they were 2 who don't get in. And they have straight A's, and they've done, they've done an internship for the president, they still don't get in.
So really what they're doing is they're ranking schools like that to say, hey, it does look like you're serving kids of color until you put it through the equity lens ranking system, and the number 1 school in the nation all of a sudden drops to 80, number 80, because it's not equitable. It's not serving the kids in Dallas ISD of color at the same rate as it is of non-color. But anyway, let me go to the definition. A pandemic-proof designation means a campus has consistently received an A or B grade in ranking for the last 3 years, and at least 3/4 of students come from low-income families. Children at risk. Researchers believe such schools are likely best equipped to mitigate the impact of the pandemic on their students. And so, again, those titles catch your eye. So what they're really saying is that it's going to be your magnets And your top ranking schools like Irma Rangel, which is their all girls school, and the Obama boys school. And when they say pandemic proof, they don't mean they're not going to catch the virus. What that means is they're not going to have the huge gaps that other schools are going to have. I checked, Legacy is ranked a B, which is nice. There are very few schools that ranked A or B. And I will tell you that the A schools are your magnets, because districts like mine cannot rank an A. We're too low income, and it takes being able to cherry pick your kids to get an A.
Right.
So in North Texas, 588 schools scored an A or a B, and so we know there's thousands of schools in Texas, right? There's 1,100 and some school districts, and so to get an A or a B is hard. And so, Lexi, my school did get a B. But
that's good. So congratulations.
It is good, but it is only 588 schools. So that's tough. Well, and it says this year's pandemic edition is based on 3 years aggregate data because, of course, we didn't have a star last year.
Right.
It ranked more than 1,700 campuses, accounting for student achievement, campus performance, growth, and racial equity. Of course, a district like mine, which is, I've got, I think, 4% white in Mesquite and 15% white in Plano. The rest are kids of color.
Right.
And, so again, B is about the highest we'll ever get.
Okay.
Because we have so many obstacles to overcome. And the A schools don't have special need kids and so forth. But I just, there's a couple of messages here to learn from this teacher. One is, read a lot, but be careful of how you read, right? Again, this article had to be read several times to really get past the title, which was which schools are pandemic proof. So what are you going to think? Oh, these kids aren't going to get the virus. Right.
There's no COVID there. The teachers are safe. The staff is safe. The principal's safe. The superintendent's safe. The kids are safe. Everybody's safe. Yeah, that's not the truth anywhere.
Yeah, they're talking about Irma Rangel, which is predominantly Hispanic, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's the community that gets it the most. And then again, on the second to the last page of the article, it tells you what pandemic proof means. And so be careful how you read your articles and how you approach.
Right.
But yeah, again, it's the very big theme. The second theme out of Corona, besides the Corona itself, is equity.
Right.
And so that is a huge piece that is a long time coming. And, it's good that it's here. We, for example, started a racial equity task force at our district because, really, you have to concentrate on making sure that the materials that we're getting our kids, that the teacher thinking and the teacher bias is mitigated through training. We all mean well. We in the teaching world, we mean so well. We want to do so well for our kids, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, your heart's, if you've gone into education, whatever facet of education that is, your heart is in the right place. And I've said this, and you and I have talked about this over the years. It's a calling.
It is. It's a calling, but we bring our biases with us, the way we were raised. Interestingly enough, in my district, we are predominantly minority staff. And so we, but again, we sent out a survey before we met with our equity task force so that we could have some data, right? So we sent it to all our leadership and we scored pretty high with most people, but there was one person out of that group that consistently scored us low and said we weren't diverse, we weren't trying to be diverse. The superintendent wasn't trying to be, have a diverse district. Just
wow, that couldn't be further from the truth. they don't know you very well then.
Well, it just, okay, then that means we still have work to do, right?
Then are you the things you do, and I know you and your staff are so good about, diversity is huge on both your campus. It is what it is, and it's a great thing to see and to be a part of. But if it's not being communicated back to everyone, then it's like,
sort of the eye-opener for me.
Okay.
It was like the staff members had to come to me and say, you know what, we may be diverse, but evidently we haven't communicated it
Interesting.
in a way that everybody sees it and understands it and is enriched by it, right?
Right.
And so, and I had a lady from Region 10 Service Center who manages these type of committees. And so she was on there, and she's, of course, African-American, and so able to, talk the talk. And again, making this part of our understanding that this is part of school now. We must have some sort of process and structure through which we train our staff members, that we make sure our materials are more equitable. And if they're not, here's what our other training is. We are training our teachers to, even if they have white-centric, male-centric materials, then the challenge is to the students, find out what was happening to the other culture communities at that time. Right.
And I've heard you talk about that. And in one of your teachers who I work with quite a bit, she's real big on that because that's one of your directives. And I think it's interesting because, and you've done the same thing with service members. Even if your family didn't serve, then who was doing something that supported the military service during this war or whatever the case may be? Did we lose her?
No, she may have muted.
Oh, she froze.
Oh, she froze.
Oh, well, shoot. Well, we can keep on bragging on legacy while Dr. Good is frozen for a second.
I think that, actually, before I do that, if I can, because I've been letting you guys go, because I've been sharing and everything, but I've got this one thing locked in my brain.
What is that?
Equity. And I want to ask Dr. Be Good when she comes back, have they defined what equity is? Equity has changed over the years.
Oh, it's changed in the last 2 years.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. Equity is no longer how it was defined by the Constitution.
Oh, here she is. Right.
Dr. Good, I kind of was sharing and, engaging with the crew while you and Kathy were discussing what you were discussing, equity and diversity. But who has defined that? And what does equity mean in this article? This article, because equity is no longer defined as it was defined under the Constitution, under our documents. It's changed dramatically. So, what does equity mean?
Especially in the world of education right now.
Well, the owner and editor of the Charlotte Observer did a huge story on his own people, and they didn't know it, and it was in regards to race because his people had attacked other people of color and whites for being racist. After he interviewed his people and wrote the article, his people needed diversity training because they were racist.
And that's actually my whole point, and the point that's being made in a lot of articles, and that is that people need to be made aware of the biases they have because they're not aware of them. I will tell you that when I try to approach my sons are very successful mid-30s kids and in business. And so, when I try to approach and say, have you ever thought about the fact that you're very, very successful? Yes, you worked really hard, but that you might have had less obstacles to overcome. That's really hard for them to accept because they just saw the effort and the work and the time that they put in. But what is hard for society to understand is that oftentimes there's no question you worked hard, but were people more accepting of you because you were white and than if you had been a person of color? And those are things that are really hard for white people to.
Oh, it's tough. That's tough to hear, to even think about that. It is. It is. And you're always good at that. I bet you're real fun at Thanksgiving. So everybody, let's talk about diversity.
Well, what's interesting about my family gatherings, I have a brother-in-law who married an African-American woman who had 4 African-American kids. I've got another brother-in-law, same family, my husband's brothers, whose sons date African-American girls. I mean, so we are getting, my daughter's Hispanic.
Right.
My brother adopted 2 Asians and 2, well, I guess they're all Asian, 2 Russians, 2 Chinese. So when we get together, we are people of color.
Right.
We're a combination. But you can't, it's not actually politically correct to go around saying, well, I have a Black sister-in-law, because it's like saying I have a Black friend, right? And so, but my comfort level in talking about culture issues, diversity is much easier.
Right.
Now, because I have had deep conversations with people of color. I've had Professor Freedom, Clarence Glover with us for 8 years, and we've had those deep conversations and the, fussing at each other over, things that we each think, but stretching each other's thinking. And that's the point. We're still friends. Okay.
Well, you were able to have, a conversation that, that's intellectual but emotional at the same time. And guess what? You don't have to agree on everything 110%, and you still walk away friends. That's where we have to get in this country in order to move forward. As long as everybody's just screaming at each other when you get emotional or upset about something, we're going to get nowhere.
Well, and John, to your point, in the article, it talks about the equity lens that the ISD has had to use on themselves, because what they've noticed is that where they're not equitable is with their Black kids.
Right.
So they're having to really concentrate on making things equitable, because Hispanics are their major population, and then it's Black, and then it's 4% white, and then a few Asian, right? Well, the Asians and the whites, they tend to take care of themselves, because unfortunately, if a white or Asian family goes to a Dallas school, they're usually going to a higher end school or private school. And so that's why you say, well, there's more than 4% white in the city of Dallas. Yes, but they're choosing to either put their kids in the magnet schools in Dallas ISD or in private schools.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of work to be done there in the equity area. And I think the message that white people need to embrace is, can you open yourself up to the tough conversations around the fact that maybe life was easier for you because there was white privilege, white entitlement that you didn't even know was there.
So I have a question. What about the white people who aren't entitled and who never raise themselves above poverty?
Well, again, I saw something once, and it sort of resonated with me. That is not to say that there aren't poor white people. There are people who choose not to put in the effort and the time, the education time that it takes to raise yourself up. There's something called generational poverty versus situational poverty. Those are known research phrases. Generational poverty are people who remain in poverty generation after generation, and you have that. And then you have situational poverty, which is where it often happens in a divorce situation where mom gets the kids, right? And her income just dropped by more than half usually, because we have salary inequity still. And then she's in a situational poverty situation because she divorced. So, if we, as white people, start tiptoeing into the conversation about, well, maybe I need to at least listen, maybe I'm to the listening. Maybe I don't have to accept yet, but I can at least listen, consider, and reflect. Can we get there? As opposed to, and what I've seen a lot is just objecting. No, that's not so. Just, can we open ourselves up to the conversation? Is that one?
I guess my big question is, and my big contention has always been that, to me, it seems like poverty knows no color. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have maybe a despairing number of people who are impoverished in certain colors, races, or cultures, but it doesn't seem to care.
No, you're right. But to get out of poverty for white people is easier, even when it comes to, and this is less so now, but it was not so long ago that kids of color had more trouble getting into colleges. They had more trouble getting jobs, oftentimes just by their name, right? You could tell that they were
Right.
American just from their name. And so, there were obstacles that Black people have to overcome still that white people did not. The red line, the red zone thing, that was a real thing where Black people couldn't get mortgages in certain areas, right? If they lived in certain areas.
Right.
So that's all real. And that's all things that just recently in the last maybe 20 years, and 20 years sounds like a long time, but it's not when we know that this has been going on for 200 years, right? So again, become a wondering white person of, well, maybe instead of just rejecting the notion of white entitlement, rejecting the notion of white privilege, open yourself up to it a little bit. Be reading on it and see if over time it can be something that you become more open to.
Well, and thank you, Dr. Good, for always challenging us to take our brains to the next level.
You wanted something controversial this morning?
We love it.
We did, absolutely.
And there's that.
And so now I'm going to shift the page now a little bit. And how much of that continues to bleed over more so into gender issues?
Well, and we see that very easily in the education business and the realty business. My sons are in the realty business, and that's why I see this. We're very heavy female, right? Base, both agents in the realty business and then education. And yet when you look up the triangle of leadership, what do you start seeing? You start seeing more males. And I've had to talk to my kids about that. I keep saying, hey, I see all these podcasts, but I don't see a lot of females. I see 4 guys. I see, 3 guys. Every once in a while, he'll have his best agent, who's a female, on with him. He does a weekly podcast with her, but there's just not enough females in that. And I'm annoying that in that way. I'm a share. I'm a teacher, right? And so the gender issue is very much alive. And that's why we have salary inequities and leadership inequities. We have CEO inequities. We have superintendent inequities. It used to be 17, it's up to 25% or 24% of superintendents are female in the state of Texas. Well, that's ridiculous, right? I mean, actually, it should be the other way around if you look at our base of females that we started with.
And Dr. Good, I think it will be sooner rather than later. Back when I was a teacher, quite a few of my drill team girls ended up going into education. A lot of them are moving up the ranks into principal roles, roles high up in admin. A number of them I've had conversations with who are all across the state of Texas. Their goal is to be a superintendent in their district. So I think that generation, they're looking for that. And these are go-getters. I can't imagine there will be anybody more qualified, when it comes time to make those decisions. So I see that shifting because of that generation that was behind me.
So let me tell you a story. And you're right. We're seeing, matter of fact, colleges now are predominantly female. We have more females in college. We have more females graduating college.
Right.
And so, yes, we're seeing that. When I was in Plano ISD, 1990 to 99, I started as a teacher, opened up Armstrong Middle School ESL program. And then I felt so empowered by what was going on in Plano at that time that I went back for really another master's, my principalship. And that was in 1998. And then I waited for them to pick me up as an administrator. I mean, I was overachieving everywhere. I won't tell you the long story now, but, and the first year that I had my certificate, they gave me a courtesy interview, but they gave it to a male. And then the second year, they didn't even give me a courtesy. They only interviewed males. Okay, in 1999, they were only interviewing males for any AP opening. And so I called my brother, the lawyer, school lawyer, and I said, hey, is this legal? And he said, no, it's not legal. I said, so I could sue them? He said, yes, but you'll never work again. I said, okay, but it's just satisfying to know that's right.
I just wanted to know.
So it took me 2 days to find a job, an administrator job back in Dallas ISD. I emailed somebody I knew, and they said,
come on over, yeah.
The rest is history. I was an admin for 2 years, and I was principal by that third year, and the rest is history. So, I made my own luck, right?
Right.
But I was up against that. Gender bias is out there. It's more subtle now, just like racism is more subtle now. Gender bias is more subtle. So,
well, I'll tell you, Dr. Good, you've definitely tickled a lot of people's interests. And I mean, we've got people that have jumped off the feed because they're like, hey, I can't take this anymore. So it's interesting. But, and Matt Foster makes a good comment. He says on the podcast idea, everyone can make one. Isn't that because females have a tendency to be risk adverse and podcasting is a risk?
I don't know if that's so. I haven't heard from my sons to say I've been asking females if they're not coming on. I haven't heard that from them, but I'll ask. I'll ask to see if they have.
It's interesting.
Yeah, just interesting. And we did want, and to people who have hopped off or who may be popping back on, we did ask Dr. Good today, with the exception of the accolades we're about to give to our next guest for some awards that have been won. We said, hey, we want controversy today. This is our day to have political talk, be that correct or incorrect. So we love that. You're throwing it out there, Dr. Good, and we appreciate that because we did want some controversy. And we got it.
We got it.
Good times.
Controversy.
And see, I'm going to tell you something. I've gotten to the point where I don't feel that this is controversial anymore. This is just something that we need to move towards. Some are ready to move towards it faster than others, and it's over time that we will be more accepting of each other. And so, thank you for letting me do this. Yes, we will see you Sunday at 8 a.m.
Absolutely.
I want to hear more.
Looking forward to it. It will be a new show, even though we've got the Thanksgiving break coming up. Her show will be a new one on Sunday morning.
It will be.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Have a
Dr.
blessed
Good.
day.
All right. In the waiting room, patiently waiting, is our TYRF chairman.
Yes.
Which stands for John Payton's Amazing. Aw, thank you. No, it stands for Texas.
It's the John Payton Show.
It should be. Well, this does have my name on it.
Wow. Okay, so should I go way out in the hall?
You could. Although you're supposed to say, and it's got my name on it too. How do you miss your cues? I don't get that.
Oh, yeah.
But we've got Hayden
Not enough
Padgett
coffee.
joining us this morning, the
Good
Texas
morning,
Young
Hayden.
Republican Federation chairman.
Morning.
And also bringing glory to conservatism here in
Yes.
Collin County in the state of Texas. Tell them what I'm talking about, Hayden. We're excited.
Well, we had a really fun weekend in the Texas YRs this weekend. The National Young Republicans met in Wyoming, Jackson Hole, to plan for the next year and to hand out awards. And Texas came back with the big one, the State Federation of the Year Award, which I actually happen to have right here.
Yeah, you gotta show
I
us.
love
Let's
it.
go. Show us.
Big old trophy.
He has the
Boy.
Stanley
There
Cup.
we go.
Now, did you drink
Wow.
No, I did not drink from this.
from that?
I do not trust them to have this thing be sanitary.
Well, it could have been the Ryder's Cup. That looks more like the Ryder's Cup, I think.
That's
The
that.
Ryder's
Okay,
Cup
that
made of
is
sterling silver. So I'm not
yeah,
having
no, maybe not. Okay, that has increased in size quite a bit since when the Texas YRs back 20 years ago received that same award. So I'm impressed with the Stanley Cup look that's going on there.
Yeah.
So what did it
The thing is,
take?
we actually we wanted to have a really, really big one that had like a wraparound on the bottom. You could put different states and you could pass it around. But then we realized people would just want to keep it. So
Yeah,
we
there you
shrunk it a
go.
little bit.
There you go. Well, and that's not the only award that was won this weekend, Hayden. And I know you don't want to brag on yourself. You were awarded with the highest individual award this weekend for the National YRs.
That's correct. I was named Man of the Year for the National Young Republicans.
And congratulations,
Yeah,
and that's a huge nod, and I love what you said. On Facebook that you were giving credit. You said both of these awards are because of the leadership and the team that we have in Texas. And so, what have y'all done? Y'all have built a great team. I was so honored to speak at y'all's state convention in Rockwall back in September. And I was so impressed with diversity, with the work ethic, with the drive and passion that the Texas YRs have right now. So how are you creating that atmosphere?
Well, not alone. That's the major point, is that it's a big team effort. And so what you referenced about my Facebook post is exactly the truth. I have only been successful because I have an amazing team that's been behind me for the last couple of years. And what we've focused on in the YRs are two things. The first is club growth, making sure we attract more people in, because that allows us to get our message out. If we're bringing people into our fold, then we are most effective at communicating the values of conservatism. But it also allows us to do the second thing, which is get people elected. So you got to bring them inside, and then you have a bunch of volunteers, and then you can go out and knock doors and make phone calls and get Republicans elected across the state. And in the past, we just didn't have that kind of focus. We were looking at too many things at once, or looking at the wrong things. And so I think the main reason we've been successful is that we've just really narrowly focused on what's our job, which is elect Republicans.
Right. And at the end of the day, then everything else kind of follows. Your leadership training, your communications efforts, all of that. If it's under that one umbrella of getting Republicans elected, then it makes a huge difference. Now, I want to ask you about two things before I turn it back over to John. Okay, so one of the things y'all did was like a strike force of sorts, and talk about how y'all helped with Victory 2020, because in Collin County, I know y'all had two races y'all focused on and brought other people in from around the state, and then y'all did the same thing across the state. I want to ask about that, and then I also want to hear about some of y'all's nonprofit and volunteer efforts, just because it's the right thing to do. So start off with these strike forces. How did that work? How did you think of that? And because it made a big difference in the races where y'all went, and helped.
Yeah, the Young Republicans have a very long history of deploying to other places to help where it's most needed. We have a lot of members in areas that are not necessarily competitive, or that just maybe they need a little more help. And so we can able to bring some of those people out and then into the most targeted places. And this year in Texas, we thought it was crucial that we focus our attention on the Texas House.
Right.
Because of redistricting, because of the importance of the laws that get passed in the next session. And we knew that we needed to hold 9 seats. So our focus was to deploy to 9 different House districts across the state, to hold phone banks for those 9 House candidates, and then to promote them on our social media through our podcasts, through different posts, through interviews. So we selected races that were the most competitive, ones that had the smallest victory margin for the Republican or the Democrat. And we went down and helped our incumbents. We went down and helped our challengers. And we won. We took the seats we needed. We kept the House. We flipped a couple seats back. We did the work we needed to make sure we contacted the voters to win those races. And that, again, is the most important thing that we had. And so that was the primary focus of our efforts for the last 3 months.
Right.
Was doing that. And in addition to that, we also had some national deployments we would do for targeted congressional races, one of which was down in Houston for Wesley Hunt, who unfortunately did not win, but it wasn't just a Texas thing, it was a national YR thing as well.
Right. Well, and I mean, it did make a huge difference. I know in Collin County, we had 2 of our races, House District 66 and 67, that were targeted. And this year, as opposed to 2 years, we were able in both races to win with a more sizable lead.
And despite more money being thrown in here. I mean, we don't know the exact totals yet between the candidates and then outside expenditures, but we could easily anticipate that each of those House candidates up here in Plano alone had $5 million for the Democrats.
Just unreal.
Crazy amounts of money for these races, and yet we still won.
Right, exactly. And then let's talk about, before I throw it back over to JP, y'all have done some amazing things that all of a sudden I'll be like, oh my gosh, these guys we're working so tirelessly. And then I'll see y'all are over in Louisiana helping with a storm that just happened. So how do y'all, first of all, how do you find the time for that? And then how do y'all choose which charitable or, organizations or where there's a need? How do y'all decide where to deploy Texas YRs in the state and outside of the state?
We do it a couple ways. You're referencing specifically our action to help Lake Charles, Louisiana, after the hurricane, and that one was not really a choice. There was just obvious that we had to go and help them.
Right.
We remember back to Houston in 2017, and our largest club in the nation is in Houston. And when they were hurt, Louisiana came and helped, and Arkansas came and helped, and the rest of Texas came and helped, and when Lake Charles needed help, we said, yeah, no, we're going. It doesn't matter what it was. It was actually the day after a convention. So all of us were dog tired, but we said,
y'all were tired as all get out, but then y'all were out there helping literally 12 hours later.
They need it.
Yeah.
So it was not even a question to us that we're going to go and help them. But beyond that, we have a culture that we've embedded in each of the clubs and each of our club leaders that you go and help the community in addition to voter contact.
Right.
So every month, every club is looking for ways they can go and help serve their community, either delivering meals, like some clubs are doing meal delivery for Thanksgiving, or you're just cleaning up your area if it has an issue in the downtown section, or doing other smaller things. But the big thing is that we recognize our purpose is to elect Republicans, but ultimately we're doing that to make our communities better.
Right.
And so we want to make sure we're doing that in small ways as well.
Right. I love that. Love it. Love it.
So, Hayden, how do people get involved in the TYRF and their local YRs, and how do they find them?
Really easy. You can go on Facebook and look up Texas Young Republicans, or you can go to texasyr.gop. And we have all of our clubs listed there. You can find the one in your local area. We generally have clubs based on county. And so like Collin County, for instance, where I live, that's where you can find a club here. It's one of our stronger clubs, one small club of the year this year.
Love it.
You can go on the website, find the different clubs that's around you, join it. And then we have lots of events through Facebook, either virtually or in person. And just get plugged in, go to one of our socials, meet some folks, find some friends. And then when the time comes, we'll have the opportunities waiting for you to help.
Love it.
All right.
Yeah, good stuff.
Hayden, congratulations on your individual award. Congratulations on your national award for the state of Texas as well. And I'm glad that it's still ingrained that it's not a one person that gets all these things accomplished.
Absolutely.
It definitely takes a family and to get it done. So congratulations and thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Hayden.
Well, thank you guys.
You and your wife have a blessed Thanksgiving.
You too.
Thanks.
All right. So we are honored to have a fellow patriot and fellow radio friend come on with us this morning.
Back. We used to see him every morning at 7:00 in the morning, right?
We did.
After we finished our show, he started his next.
We did. Brian Glenn, who's now with Right Side Broadcasting, is joining us live. I believe that he has flown back into town. He is in McKinney, Texas this morning, but we're going to talk to him about what happened Saturday at the Trump rally, what's going on in D.C., what's the mood in D.C., the social media and the media has definitely painted their own picture, and so I'm curious what the real picture looks like. Good morning to you, Brian Glenn.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, how are you?
Man, welcome to JP, Kathy, and the crew, man.
Yeah, back. Hey, we're back. We're back in like old days, right?
Back full circle, man. We've come full circle.
Well, and we want to keep you on as a regular, and when you are out somewhere, we want to bring you on as a remote, and we want to promote Right Side Broadcasting as well,
which is who you're with now. Which you've landed in a place that is perfect for you. You are a Christian, you are a conservative, and you're unapologetic about it. And I'm glad that you've found a home that appreciates that, where you can shine.
Yeah, it was a real blessing whenever I literally reached out to him, and my message was this: you need to hire me. And I got a reply back, and they said, send your information to this email, and I did. And then a couple days later, it was like, hey, go to Reno, and it was on. So, but yeah, to your point, in this media culture that we have, that it's one thing if you come out and say something very controversial, like I support the president for whatever reason. That's
Right.
That's controversial. But then if you show your faith, that's really kind of frowned upon. So no, it's great to have a home.
Yeah.
So, Brian, did you get to catch any of the congressional hearings yesterday with Twitter and Facebook CEOs in regards to them controlling the information?
A little bit. I was on a plane most of the day yesterday, but I was able to I saw the interaction between Cruz and Dorsey over at Twitter. And, and then he backtracked and said, maybe it wasn't such a good idea to flag certain messages. That's great in hindsight after the election. I wish they would have taken that stance beforehand, but
Amen.
Yeah, look, but that's the world we live in. I would say this, even with Right Side Broadcasting, I'll give you a great example. Even with Right Side Broadcasting, we've had some of our lives get demonetized by YouTube for being labeled inappropriate. Yeah. There's nothing you've ever done that's inappropriate, but that's how they get you, is they can demonetize your account. So therefore the broadcast is still there, but you can't make any money on it with the ads. And so they can do that. And then just yesterday, every night at 8:00, our team does a video prayer, a virtual prayer, right?
Right.
And we'll have Pastor Frank for Priest for Life come on and lead it at 8:00. And if I'm not mistaken, the one we did last night was banned from YouTube.
Oh,
wow.
Okay. I was going to ask you about that, because I tried to get on after the fact and it showed me like a still picture, and then I got some weird message, and then I tried to refresh and I was like, okay, I thought maybe it was the connectivity on my end.
No,
so it was
flagged.
Wow.
Well, Brian, it's funny. A little old podcast, live broadcast streaming that we do, because we're building. We started it brand new in August, jumped off the radio, decided this is where it's at. We've got a Christian organization that puts on plays, and they do dramatics, and they do theatricals, and so they're doing what
comedy,
they call
and skits, and
so they're doing now a thing called Punchline Players Comedy Club or Comedy Act, and they're a show on our broadcast, and YouTube flagged us as inappropriate. Because we had someone that was either 13 years or younger who did a science project with, I think, Alka-Seltzer.
And then they showed like an image afterwards of something blowing up, which was obvious it was not happening in this kid's own house or anywhere. It was fake. But it was deemed inappropriate. We're like, out of all the shows that we've got running on our network right now, the fact that our this amazing Christian, their Creative Arts for Christ is they broadcast this. These Christian kids got flagged as inappropriate, and we're like, really?
Out of all of our shows, what's the name of the organization again?
Creative Arts for Christ.
Yeah, Creative Arts for Christ, Brian. And we get tagged, and now we are not allowed to go live.
Yeah, so we've got like we're in YouTube.
We're having a premiere.
We're YouTube grounded.
Yeah, we can no longer live stream on YouTube.
Yeah.
That they shut us down because of that.
Eventually, did they say like we've got a grounding period?
They said it was only 24 hours, but that was
that was 4 weeks ago.
That was a month and a half ago.
So it's out there. The censoring, it's real. JP has noticed it from his own personal page and from our network page. At some point, you can have the owner of a social media thing all of the stuff that happened that does impact the way people vote, especially the younger people who don't know how to go out and research their own stuff. But then they can be like, "Oh yeah, my bad."
Yeah.
But then we want to pray, and oh my goodness, everybody stop the presses. I don't know.
think I think platforms like TikTok are horrible.
Gosh, yes.
Oh.
Because, there are some very conservative TikTok influencers, and there's an Instagram page called Today is America, and that's the Gen Z TikTok based. It's on Instagram, but they basically recruit TikTokers that are conservative, and you should check it out. It's called Today is America, and
we'll check it out.
They're owning that space.
Good
but
for
they're
them.
only like 5% of the market share of TikTok. The rest of it's very left leaning, very like unbiblical. It's I don't have it, so I don't have that or Snapchat either one.
Right.
So, Brian, you were in D.C. this last weekend. In fact, you're going to be in D.C. quite a bit.
Right.
You know, what is really going on in DuPont Circle? I mean, I don't think we're getting anywhere near the truth. And the people who are speaking the truth are being absolutely shut down. What is going on up there? Are we going to see a reasonable challenge from the president, or are we going to be stuck with Joe Biden?
No, I think you're going to see a fight in the courts. And I was just checking before I came on here. I saw that, you know, Michigan, there were some developments there, and Nevada as well. I mean, we're finding out that there's these mystery votes that just pop up, or maybe a memory card wasn't submitted with all these votes on it that, oh, we forgot to add this into the count. So I think it's going to, we all know it's going to end up in the courts. And we just hope that the courts at that point decide to rule in favor of the voice of the people and take in consideration all the fraud that's gone on. Because to your point, I'm back here in McKinney today. I'm back in Washington tomorrow, and then down at CNN. This will be fun. On Saturday, there's a rally, protest rally in front of CNN. I got my dog here. So my dog's
I love it. Okay, so there's a protest rally in front of CNN. Oh my gosh, how much fun is that?
Yep, at 12 o'clock, I believe, on Saturday. It's supposed to just kind of, you know, protest the fake news, if you will. But to your point, if you're watching even Fox News at this point, they pretty much dismiss everything that's going on in court. Like, you know, it's really not enough evidence to overturn it. You know, okay, so you get 2,600 votes, but he's still down 30,000 votes. But I follow Jenna Ellis. All right, one of his legal counsel, Jay Sekulow, who you guys are familiar with because he was on 620 for a long time.
Right.
Of course, Kaylee, Rudy, and just all of his legal team, because those are the people that are in the courts every day.
Yep.
You know, if you follow Fox News or anybody else, you're not getting this true story. And that's probably the number one question I get every single day is, please tell me this is going to be okay. Please tell me this is going to be okay.
Right.
And
well, I guess my biggest concern is that the dissemination of information is definitely controlled by a very fascist, very socialistic media.
Yes.
And, you know, I know that it's hilarious, Brian. I had 6,000 people watching our show, and then all of a sudden it went to 48 the next day after 3 weeks.
We're like, wow, were we that bad? And then we're and then we had people saying, well, I didn't get your notification. I tried searching a couple times, then I had to get to work. And, you know, again, it's interesting. And I'm going to go back and piggyback off something you said with Fox, where and now granted, there are some folks on Fox who I still dig their scene, but when they called Arizona so early on election night, I remember somebody said, well, Arizona's been called. I'm like, yeah, but there's only a certain percentage in. And myself having been a former Republican Party chairman here in Collin County, I'm like, okay, what happens if, like, you know, a Collin County is outstanding in the state of Arizona? Well, that makes all the difference in the world. And I remember just going, why did they call it so early? And out of every, you know, I would have expected that from, you know, CNN or MSNBC. But when it was Fox that called Arizona, and I really feel like that's part of the reason we're sitting where we are today, because that was called way too early in the night.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Should still not be called.
And then they don't call Florida. You know,
exactly.
In 2016, there were states that he won big time, but they were too close to call, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, really?
So, Brian, what was the feeling and the atmosphere of the parade on Saturday? Talk to us about that, and then talk to me about the elderly man.
There were a ton of folks there.
It's amazing. Okay, you know, it started off, you know, that morning. To be honest with you, I walked out there about 7:30, and there was some people starting to trickle in. They were setting up tents, and I thought, you know, how big is this going to be? You know, I mean, people right now, we saw the rallies throughout the summer. We saw, you know, all the people come out. But what is it going to be like after the election is over, right? And Kathy, I could not have been more wrong. I wouldn't say a million. I just officially, I made a joke about this earlier. I want to retire the name Million Man March. I think let's just say a crap ton of people march.
A crap ton of people.
We will hashtag that for you, Brian.
Yeah, because once you say million man, we know what happens on the left, right? They
Right.
say, well, you were far from a million, you know. But if I was to say this, I would say between 2 and 300,000 people, because, and the way I came up with that number is if you were to stand outside AT&T Stadium that holds about 90,000, and you were to see the people come out, right?
Right.
And then it was a steady stream for 2 to 3 hours, people coming by. And it was, so each block might have 3,000 people, and it was continuous for hours. So it was amazing.
Awesome.
And,
That's awesome.
And I also said about this, like, okay, with as many people there, no violence, no, you know, no one getting beat up, no disruptions, whatever.
Right.
And then I would say when I was leaving, there's not even trash, guys. There's no trash on the ground.
It was probably cleaner than when you started.
Well, and really,
no littering.
No.
No littering.
And everybody's positive and happy.
Well,
there's prayer, there's national anthem,
Yeah.
but this is what happens when the sun goes down. And President Trump tweeted this: when 99% of the people are gone, and you've got the elderly people, you got families going back to their hotels, maybe going back to their car they had to park 10 miles away. That's when Antifa and Black Lives Matter came right out.
And that's where I wanted to go next, because we're not causing trash, we're not rioting, we're not destroying storefronts, but how is it that Antifa and other organizations can get away with attacking our elderly? And I want you to talk about that. You did talk about that briefly, but man, tell us about that, Brian.
Well, it was right in front of my hotel. I was at the Willard Hotel, which is right across from Freedom Plaza. And there were elderly people. When I say elderly people, I mean, you know, 70, 60, late 60s, 70, walking back to their car, getting sucker punched by people. You saw the guy in the video on a bike.
Yeah.
He had a Trump shirt on, and they kept pushing his bike over, pushing him over.
Horrible.
These people have no regard for human life. I'm convinced of that. And I'm convinced that these masks, because I heard them kind of heckling some other people in our group that didn't have masks on. And they said, that mask is not so you don't get coronavirus. That's mask so that you can conceal your identity while you beat up people.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
why they wear them.
While a 20-year-old beats up a 70-year-old. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So JP, it was everywhere. It was,
Yeah.
There were people getting maybe verbally assaulted, thrown water on. There's a guy named Brick Suit. You can follow him on Instagram. This guy that wears the brick suit, the build the wall suit.
Oh,
Right.
yes.
Right.
Yeah. They took his hat and threw lighter fluid on it to burn it. And then he ended up stealing it back from them. So it's, you know, look, I just, in the fact that we're not seeing anybody come out and say, look, you and I both know if there were Trump supporters doing that, the president would come out and say, hell to the
shut
no.
it down. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we
Brian,
don't see it now.
here's the big question, because we've got conservatives here in Collin County that are being attacked. I'm talking elderly gentlemen and women being attacked at meetings in McKinney, and then the left side saying it's not happening. There's video of it. They go to the police refuse to take a report, but yet if that had been the other way around, we would have conservatives marched off in handcuffs.
Yes, we would. We would be marched off in handcuffs, and we'd be forced to denounce every single thing that's going on. You know, it's a shame that I didn't know that was happening in Collin County. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and it was real. And we've got video footage of it. And McKinney PD's like, we're staying out of it. We're not getting involved. We didn't see it. And I mean, it's something else. And so, you know, Brian, how do we, and I mean you and I and others that are in social media, in the media, how do we turn this thing
Exactly.
and get this ship right again? We can't quit and give up. You know what I mean?
No, we can't. And to be honest with you, JP, is if this thing does go to Biden, and for whatever reason it goes to Biden, this is when all three of us need to double down on the amount of content we post up to be as being conservatives.
Yep.
Not give up and go, well, all right, 4 more years, we'll go out there and hit it for. No, the next day.
It's now. It's now.
The next day. So I think, you and I, we all know, we've all got friends that we've lost on social media because of politics.
Right.
We all got them, right?
Right.
Just 2 days ago. Yeah.
Yep. I think you do this. Look, you take the gloves off and you just come out swinging even more. And I think the country's too important to save. And if someone at this point is so delusional that in the last 4 years, they haven't seen all the great things this president has done, if they don't see that by now, I'm not even sure they're a rational person in the first place.
Right.
Because, and I want people right now, if Biden does win, though, take a snapshot of your bank account. Take a snapshot of your 401k. Take a snap of your crime statistics in your towns. Take a snapshot of your whole entire life. And then 4 years from now, look back and go, was that a good decision or not?
Well, and take a snapshot of your taxes.
Because
because watch that go nuts.
Well,
take a snapshot of Medicare.
Well, and again, here we are in flux because we're waiting to see what the true outcome is. And Brian, think back, and I know you've been around as long as JP and I have. Think back to when Bill Clinton won back-to-back terms, when Barack Obama won back-to-back terms. We didn't go out. Republicans, conservatives didn't go out and riot in the streets and freak out. We just, we fought against the policies that we thought were bad or inappropriate or not constitutional, but we didn't, freak out. That's not our MO. But what I like about, and I'm stealing this from a gentleman who I saw speak yesterday at a luncheon. What I like about what President Trump has done even for people who were considered establishment, who he's been able to flip to his way of thinking, which is just be all about the American people and the taxpayer first and foremost. And that is how to fight. Now, of course, we're not fighting by, rioting in the streets or burning down businesses or smashing people's car windows in, but how to just stand up for ourselves and say, you know what, the Constitution matters. What the Founding Fathers in their amazing brilliance did all these years ago, it matters, and we're going to stand up for it. Yeah.
No, we do. And Dennis Prager, the great Dennis Prager, has said for a long time, we've been in a nonviolent civil war for years now. The attack on a constitution, attack on our freedom. And it's only until now that you're starting to see it kind of get on the violent side of things. But I just think it's more important for us to face our adversaries with facts and things from the Constitution. But here's the fact. They don't care about our Constitution. These people loathe what we stand for. These people want to break down what we stand for. So I'm sorry, we have to kind of get more aggressive and not so spineless and standing up to them. And if it means kind of getting nasty in a way, but in a good way, you're fighting for God, then you got to do it. You have to do it.
Right. Well, and that's where the agenda has been pushed. We didn't bring that agenda.
No.
Conservatives didn't bring that. This is what they've had to do. They've had to amp this up in a violent way to be able to start controlling the messaging to the extent where the American public, and I've always believed this, is being driven by fear rather than courage.
Well, in coronavirus, they weaponize coronavirus for the political gain. There's no doubt of it. They've weaponized coronavirus to take down the economy. They've weaponized coronavirus to instill fear in people. And you're seeing it right now. There's counties right side of the Beltway there that you cannot go outside unless you have a mask. There's like a $250 fine if you don't have a mask. Kids are back at home that they had just went to school very slowly, but now they're back at home. Restaurants now, there's no interior dining, only exterior. And of course, now it's getting cold, so good luck with that. It's going to kill the economy.
Right.
It really is.
Well, here's my biggest thing.
That's heartbreaking.
And this is why I reached out to you. We have got to cross platform and tie ourselves into a big old chain link fence.
Conservatives have got to lock arm in arm.
So we can continue to get this out there, man. We hope that you'll continue to join us.
Yeah.
And we'd love to get you on the show when you're out remote. Let us know when we can record and then replay on our show.
We'd love to highlight what you've got going on.
So, but we'd love to stay in touch and keep this thing going.
No, I'd love to. And like I said, I'm back in D.C. Tomorrow, and I've got an apartment right across the street from the White House. Literally, I call it a Tiger Woods tee shot or a pitching wedge, maybe. And I'm hitting the house, but I would love to jump on with you guys and keep you updated. And I appreciate all that you guys are doing. You guys are awesome. I mean, what
Thank
you're
you,
doing
Brian.
right now, you're patriots is what you're doing right now. You're
Amen, brother. Amen.
Right back at you.
All right.
Back at
Hey,
ya.
this is Brian Glenn with Right Side Broadcasting. Brian, they can catch you at YouTube at Right Side Broadcasting, right, brother?
Yeah, the biggest platform that we have really is YouTube and Facebook. I mean, we pretty much dominate those two platforms for live events easily. I mean, it's funny. We'll go live at a rally and have 1 million people, and then Fox News, we might go on their digital platform. They may have like 10,000. So,
and
yeah,
those numbers are going to continue to grow for y'all and diminish for Fox.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but Right Side Broadcasting on all platforms.
All right,
Awesome.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Have
Brian Glenn.
Have a blessed Thanksgiving.
With Right Side Broadcasting Network. Happy Thanksgiving, brother.
God bless, God. We'll see you later.
All right. So, this is the thing, and I'm telling you, and when I say it is time to chain link up, we as conservative media platformers, we're going to have to come together to be able to fight the big media. The messaging is fear. The messaging now, the dogma is, again, fear. If President Trump doesn't transition immediately, then people are going to die. I think that's hilarious. What's not hilarious is charity. And we are back ready to start talking about charity. And what does charity mean?
Right.
To me, it means being out there for your fellow mankind, both in heart and soul.
Well, and it's doing something, being part of something that's bigger than you, doing something for someone and not expecting anything in return. And you know what? The most satisfaction I've ever felt in my life is when I'm doing something for somebody and I don't expect anything back.
Well, and
you're just doing it because it's the right thing.
And we've got somebody that's going to come on here in just a minute.
Can't wait. One of our favorite Venture X people.
He is. He's going to talk to us about charity. He's going to talk to us about how he is being a part of giving back to humanity and
can we get him a chair?
Helping build that heart and soul of man again through being charitable. Because it seems like we have become an era of attack versus an era of charity. And I don't know how that's happened or why that's happened. And so it's always good to highlight. We've got Chance Post, who's going to be joining us here in just a moment to talk to us about what he's doing and how you could become your very own cornholer without having to be a professional and maybe win tens of thousands of dollars. Oh, no, maybe not tens and thousands of dollars.
I was going to say, what, really?
Well, I was just going to tell him he had to write a check out of his own personal bank account. But I think we've even got some cornhole ringers coming in even. So we're going to bring Chance on now. I think we're going to bring Chance on now. So, Chance, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Does he have a microphone?
Not yet. We got to get him on fire here because he's definitely got the hat for it.
That's right.
So, Chance, what's going on up here at Venture X tomorrow?
So we love to do stuff for charity. So we have a charity cornhole tournament.
Love it.
That's going to benefit displaced restaurant workers. So all these restaurants are hurting.
That's awesome.
And so we've teamed up with Profound Foods that does grocery delivery, and Heard That, which is actually a charity that helps. They've got the contacts, they've got the people that need
fantastic.
help. And our friends at Chard 380 have donated the food for the barbecue. We have a professional chef coming in, and so we'll have the cornhole tournament outside, downstairs, COVID safe.
Right.
And then people will have to come up. They can get some lunch. We've got a person here doing headshots. So it'll be a really, really fun day. It's going to be beautiful weather. Come get some good barbecue. Now, the winner of the cornhole tournament, it's either going to be a green egg or a Traeger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're talking some serious.
That's serious.
That's
way serious.
really cool.
Well, you're talking about between $800 and $1,500.
Yes.
So it'll be big.
A game changer.
So tomorrow, I know it's kind of late notice. Tomorrow at 11 to 1,
Love
Venture
it.
X Frisco, come see us.
Love it.
All the proceeds go to charity, and it's there is an entrance fee. It's $75 per person. And all that's going to feed the displaced workers.
Love it.
So,
love it. And there's such a need for that.
There is. What's the goal? What's the goal?
Well, I think we need to try to raise like $1,500.
Okay.
And then what's going to happen with that, with the proceeds?
So the proceeds are going to go to Profound Foods, which will then team up with Herd That, and they'll actually do grocery delivery, residential delivery to their homes. They used to work with all the different restaurants. Profound did doing micro farms all over DFW and deliver fresh, high quality food. So this food that's being delivered is high quality, restaurant quality fruits, vegetables, and meats. So when Profound switched gears when all the restaurants went out of business and they went residential. So we're going to have that delivery here also, but that'll be another time. It will be able to get grocery delivery here at work in the fridges.
And you'll have to talk about that.
So
you'll
that'll
have to
be
talk
something
about
to
that.
come.
That's great.
Really great company, really doing good.
Well, we need to get Profound on and talk with them, and Chard on and talk with them
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah, we'll bring them in.
Yeah, we need to get that going on.
Absolutely.
And so tomorrow between 11 and 1, $75 per person. That money is going to go towards displaced restaurant workers, which, Andy's talked about that from Meet You Anywhere.
Right.
And he did his part to help displaced restaurant workers as well. And so it's just good to see the community coming together and VentureX, again, stepping out there and being a leader in the community.
I'll tell you what you guys have done with the telethon and the charity raising. A lot of the owners have taken note. All the VentureX's put out a new marketing. We need to do telethons.
Oh, I love
They
it.
send me an email.
Hey, let us know. We'll come co-host.
Sorry, I was kind of laughing. I'm going, why don't you just watch what we're doing and market that to other people?
I love
Right.
it. Well, but you know what? It's all about doing the right thing.
Right,
so,
yeah,
hey, you know
sure.
what? Emulate something that's being done right in the world because there's so many negative things out there.
Right.
You want to jump up onto these positive things. And getting back, this is a very serious issue, these displaced food service workers. And Brian Glenn, who we just had on from Right Side Broadcasting, was talking about, in D.C. And then I have a dear girlfriend who was just in New York, and her husband, were there, and she posted pictures, and it was heartbreaking. A lot of these places, they're not going to ever open back up.
Right. I mean, you see it right here. You see it going down Preston and Frisco.
Oh my gosh!
It's terrible, and you see the office buildings where nobody's going to work. And I go out. We provide lunch every Monday, so I try to go around to the different restaurants in Frisco and get variety of food.
Yeah.
And I see guys, and they're like, well, hopefully I'll make it until people come back to work in these office buildings, because depending on where they work, some of these buildings are closed, and so they're waiting. There's nobody to go out for lunch, so they're sitting there in the strip centers, and there's not enough business.
They're dying on the vine.
Well, because their business wasn't necessarily somebody coming in after church on a Sunday, or somebody coming having husband and wife having a Tuesday night date, or a group of 20-somethings on a Friday night. Their bread and butter is the 9 to 5, that lunch crowd.
Right. I mean, exactly.
And what do? Some of these buildings that are sitting empty, I don't know that they ever fill back up.
I mean, the change has been that people are working from home, and some companies are at this point still saying that they're not coming back.
So Shay Drake has asked, if we're not able to attend, is there a link where we can send in a donation?
Very nice, Shay.
Yeah, so they can do that. They're on the VentureX website at VTX Frisco. On Facebook, there's an event, and you can click on the Eventbrite, and you should be there.
All right, very good. So VentureX website, I'm going to put this on our feed.
Excellent.
And go to the Eventbrite.
Our site, well, it's on the Facebook events.
Okay, gotcha. So go to the Facebook events.
Yeah.
Will you post stuff on our feed?
I will
when you're done here. Okay, yeah,
sure.
appreciate
So there we go.
that.
We got that out there. So again, tomorrow from 11 to 1, and if you're watching the screen, you should see it. This is the flyer for it. We want to thank Edward Jones, Chard, of course, JP, Kathy, and the crew. Heard That, Profound Foods, Region RX Medical, and 7 Seconds Media for being big sponsors for this and wanting to promote what's going on out there to help these displaced workers. And we want to thank VentureX Frisco for, again, being the leader in the community and recognizing a need and filling the need. And that's what it's all about.
Thanks, JP. Yeah,
We
thanks, guys.
appreciate.
All right,
we
Chance, thank
appreciate
you.
Thanks.
All right. And so, again,
That's good stuff. That's just good stuff.
well, charity is so important, especially right now when it seems like people have lost their charity. And I mean, I even go back to, let's go back to the times when Christ was walking around. It was in a time when people weren't feeling charitable and it seemed like everybody was out for themselves, Christ began to spread the word of charity.
Well, yes, I guess you could say Jesus is the ultimate volunteer.
Well,
and he went to the places that were tough and hung out with the people who were the most in need.
And that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. I mean, leading people all over the region and doing that knowing that the criticism is there, knowing the persecution is there, and knowing what his end was going to be.
Yeah.
But people flock to a good message, a positive message, and
we're desperate for that, JP. As a society, we are desperate for that.
In a time of darkness, it's the light that leads the way, and Christ was that light that led the way during that time frame. And it is our job to pick up that torch and continue leading the way for people all over the world, when right now we are definitely in the darkness. And I don't mean to have a doom and gloom message there. My messaging really is, you are responsible for you. Pick up the torch and let's light the way of charity again.
Well, and even, if you're in a situation, and I've got, I know people, and, I have family members and myself, I have been impacted financially by the pandemic. Even if you're having a really hard time, and again, I'm going to go back to this, and JP, you know where I'm going. I'm going to talk about the mental health crisis in our country, which is unbelievable.
It's real.
It's unbelievable. You've got people committing suicide. You've got substance abuse, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, all of these things at an all-time high. You've got, spousal abuse at an all-time high, child abuse, just horrible, horrible things out there. You've got to take care of your mental health, and a lot of the times, and again, and we can help you with that. Ping us, let us know. We've got people we can send you to, and it's confidential, and they can help you. But even if you're just one of those that you're kind of blue, you've been working from home, go and look for an opportunity, and you can do it in a COVID safe environment. An opportunity to volunteer, and that may mean just bringing some groceries for Thanksgiving over to an elderly couple's home, that maybe through your church or something like that.
Right.
Checking on a friend. Right now I've got the highest number of friends that I know, people that I personally know that have COVID. And my thing I've been asking everybody is, do you need food? Do you need groceries? Do you need toiletries? Is there something I can drop off on your front porch, between now and Thanksgiving? Just, reach out, look for a way, and JP and I are challenging you as a crew, look for a way to make a positive difference in somebody else's life that's not going to do anything else to you other than just make you feel good because you did the right thing.
Absolutely. And again, it's the holiday season as well.
Yeah.
And it's a holiday season for a lot of holidays, right? I'm not confining it to a Christian holiday. It could be Hanukkah, it could be Kwanzaa, it could be Christmas, it could be whatever you celebrate. Diwali was just the other day, and all my Indian friends participating in that. I recognize your practice in your religion and in your beliefs, and I don't condemn them, I don't criticize them, and I say
not our
celebrate
place to judge.
That's
not
right.
our place to judge
And
at
so-
all.
Well, I think that's one of the things that I've noticed too. Why everyone's putting up Christmas or holiday lights early,
And I love
is
it
because they are looking for that light, like John was talking about, and that hope.
You better believe
and they're
it.
trying to. They want some joy in their life. They've not had a lot of joy this year.
And Christmas decorations. I don't know about for y'all, and well, I do know this because I know both y'all. Christmas decorations to y'all and y'all's families, and same here. It's a really big part of celebrating the birth of Jesus. It's just a big part of it, and I'm always a little sad for a while after we take those decorations down. So I think everybody putting these up early. I saw people with Christmas lights up in my neighborhood, up in their Christmas trees in their front room, up at not Easter,
the day after Halloween.
Yeah.
I did as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. People are
People
trying to bring
they
that
want
joy
hope.
back.
So that's
Absolutely.
what the positive person experience is all about too, right?
Absolutely,
There's a lot of
absolutely.
positives.
Just
Yep.
trying to create some positivity in an environment where we don't have a lot of positivity being heard in the media right now.
Well, and I've coined the word for our organization this holiday season. I've coined the word charity.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that is being charitable to your fellow man and woman,
Yep.
both in heart and soul. And
Right.
that we have to remember that that's what we're really here for. And there are going to be people that take advantage of that, but you know what? That's on them. I'm not going to stop being charitable because they decide that they're going to act that way.
And charity
so-
doesn't just mean financial charity.
That's not what
charity
I'm-
means the way you treat others.
It's all about your spirit and about that kindness. And even if, and again, some of us, we've been hunkered down with the same people. Just, you're seeing the same people on Zoom meetings. You're not able to get out and about as much as possible. Try to remember what you love the most and care about the most for that coworker, family member, friend, and treat them the way you want to be treated.
And there's a challenge there. It's find somebody that you don't feel like being very charitable to and be charitable to them.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely. All right. Somebody that's not very charitable is
Ruh-roh.
definitely the CEOs of Twitter and Facebook.
Oh, and
yesterday, yesterday they were on the Hill, both Zuckerberg and Dorsey, and this is just a joke, by the way. If they're not publishers, I'm not fat, and so I'm just a figment of your imagination. They are absolutely publishing. They're absolutely publishers. They are controlling, and here's what's fun. Well, it's true.
Then
It's
I'm a pixie.
yeah, I mean, if you can't see that I'm fat, then you're ridiculous. But better than that, you're ridiculous if you can't see what both Facebook and Twitter is doing. And what's funny is Democrats support it. They support the censorship. Here's what I think is hilarious. Their argument is, we're not censoring conservative voices. Really? Let me get this straight. For 3 weeks when we launched our new network, we were averaging between 4,000 and 6,000 people watching us a day.
Between all the different social media
No,
things.
just two
was that
Facebook
just
pages.
Face-
That was just two Facebook pages.
Oh, wow.
No. I mean, my Facebook page was averaging 3,800, and our Facebook page was averaging 2,000 or 3,000.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, after 2 or 3 weeks, because we're talking about President Trump, we're talking about conservative ideals,
The election.
well, the election, we go to 45 viewers.
Really?
How do you go?
I remember going, did we go live?
How do
Were
we
not live?
Yeah, how do you go from 6,000 people watching you to instantly 45? So then we start retooling, and our numbers started growing back up again. 150, 400, 500, 700. We got to about 800. No, we got to 1,500, and they did it to us again. And we dropped down to like 78.
And then you couldn't share.
Yeah. Then they took away our share button.
Oh,
Could
you
not
couldn't share for almost a month,
Yes.
which that was kind of crazy. Yeah, that was
Yes.
bizarre.
And
Yeah.
then, and even today, we've got people like Cleo, who has been a part of the crew forever, says that she still doesn't get notifications for
know.
our show.
I know.
And she's got notifications turned on.
Right, yeah, that's my concern. I know some people
Tell me that that's not censorship.
Yeah. Some people, if you're supposed to have, especially if you've done the notifications correctly and it's turned on, and especially to people who have been like myself, I've been following certain sites for some time now. I know members of the crew like Cleo have been following us for a while. Heck, she's been a guest co-host on our show and an expert guest in several arenas on our show. So why wouldn't, if you've got that natural organic relationship with a particular page you're following, what other reason would there be? Now, I get it. Every so often there can be a big old technical glitch. I get it. Maybe somebody doesn't have the latest update or whatever. But at the end of the day, time after time after time, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck,
And
what's the
YouTube
saying
shutting
on
the
that?
live stream down. That's like not baking a cake for somebody that might not share the same values as you.
Right.
So come on, YouTube, stop being.
well,
that
they
way.
said it was a 24-hour
Being a double
grounding, and here we are, over
Weeks
a month
later.
later. Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, right? I mean, explain this to me. We get something from YouTube that says, hey, you know what? We're not going to do it. You're fine. Your account is fine, but yet it's really not. And they haven't turned us back on live. And now you're hurting my ability to complete and work through in commerce. Now you've restricted my commerce.
Exactly.
Oh, which isn't that against the law?
Supposed to be.
Supposed to be.
And
Okay.
so it's interesting on the Hill. And one of the things that I've been hearing a lot over the last 48 hours is the fact that you take Hunter Biden's son and the whole laptop thing, and Twitter purposefully limited the ability of the New York Post's pre-election reporting on Hunter Biden to get out.
Well, I want to
For 2 weeks, and then he apologizes yesterday.
And it was the big old, oh, my bad. Really? Come on. I want to say hi to Letha. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Letha or Letha Ann Pilgrim, who said, just bumped into you guys. Love this. So welcome to the crew. We're happy to have you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely, and welcome to the crew. We love the fact that you're out there and you bumped into
and you were
other
able to get to us.
Because we're conservative. Letha Ann, we're conservative. So if you're not conservative, you may not want to stick around.
I think I can't read it because it's pretty small on my thing, but I think her profile picture says something about Jesus. So
good. There you
we
go.
love you, sister.
Well, then she's going to be right fine with us. The bottom line is this, though, is that they are censoring. For them to say that they're not trying to censor conservative voices, here is my proof. They kill our show, or they try to kill JP, Kathy, and the crew. You'll never kill us. But then when we go out on JPK Broadcasting Network and I put Dr. Good's show out there on Sunday on the same
because she's
feeds,
not talking politics.
Right.
Yeah.
On the same feeds, Dr. Good gets 3,500 views off my page.
Yeah.
Help me out here. How is it that JP, Kathy, and the crew go from 6,000 to 45, but yet when I put out Dr. Good on the same platforms, they're back up 3,500 on my page, like 1,600 on JP, Kathy, and the crew, and then MoneyLink, another show on our network.
Right.
So right before the election, they killed us again. And we went down to like 32 people watching us.
We were pumped up about Trump, and we had guests on who were talking about Trump.
But the other shows get lots of viewers.
I tested it, though. Remember I put Trump in our title?
Oh, yes.
On purpose, because I wanted to see what was happening. Because the day before, we had like 900.
JP's a little prankster.
I am. Well, I'm building evidence for when our attorney files a lawsuit against Google, YouTube, and Facebook, and we sue them for them trying to restrict our commerce.
Exactly.
And so it's funny. All of a sudden, we go from like the 700, 800, 900 we had the day before to 37. And Fred, who watches the show religiously, goes on and says, I didn't get my notification until 45 minutes into your show.
Which I thought when the show goes live is when you're supposed to get the notification. Well, the great thing, and again, Letha, let me know is it Letha Ann or Letha? Letha, I think is what I'm going to go with.
It's probably Letha.
That's what I'm thinking. A pretty name, but she said, she is conservative, and she said just shared it to many conservative pages. So thank you very much, because that's what it's going to take is. And not just our show, other conservative shows.
Right,
it's going
Right
to
Side
take,
Broadcasting.
Yep, it's going to take, if Brian Glenn goes live, get out there, share his stuff, send it via Messenger, send it. A lot of these things, JP noticed. Well, and JP noticed that you can send send things. Letha.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Beautiful name. My middle name's Ann, so I love that. You get with, you can even text just like in your text messages. We've noticed, and you came across this, I think, by accident, that you can forward those things. Even if maybe your friends, like I'm not a big messenger person, but I'm a big texter.
Right.
So I send a lot of stuff out via text and receive stuff that way. Any way you can get that message out, tag somebody in comments and say, hey, starting at minute, 56 minutes into the show, they've got this great guest on that you want to, hear, or hey, Hayden Pageant, who's the new, Young Republican National Man of the Year, Texas YR chairman. Hey, if you've got young Republicans, tag them and say, hey, listen to this guy at X number of minutes. If you're into charity, Chance Post comes on and talks about a charitable event
Right.
tomorrow. Yeah, again, what you said, JP, and you kind of put a visual in my head where we've all, as conservatives, we have got to lock arms
Right.
and say we're standing strong, no matter what happens, no matter what you throw our way. We're not going to let you destroy the foundation of this country. And so if we all lock arms, we're powerful as all get out.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And then pray along with it. Pray
and
while
so-
you're locking arms.
Bottom line is this. The bottom line is that Dorsey and Zuckerberg are both doing that. They have tried to restrict us. We will not be restricted. MoneyLink, after I posted the Trump in our title, we had 37 people watch supposedly. MoneyLink, on Thursday, the
Right.
very next day,
Right.
they had
7:30 in the morning.
7:30 in the morning. They had like 900 people. Again, same platforms,
And-
same feeds.
And now this is a show that's going
So
to
it's
continue to
hilarious.
take off. Gail and Steve's show, Money Links, is a phenomenal show. We highly recommend it. Eventually, there's going to be 930 people that tune in immediately because they want to hear what they have to say. But they were very new at the time.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And again, the crew being restricted by not sending out those notifications.
Yep.
So with that being said, rant is over.
Is that what they get?
Now
They
let me
get
go
the-
ahead. Hold on. I'm getting ready to hand out. Oh,
Ruh-roh.
I thought that you
Is this
got
the
it.
kiss?
ready to
This is
do
the
it.
kiss my
Do it
booty
again.
award.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's your
Okay.
intro.
Okay,
That's your
perfect.
intro.
It is time for it. It is time for the Kiss My Butt Award. And guess what? Zuckerberg and Dorsey, you get the Kiss My Big Old Hairy Butt Award today because you are censoring conservatives. You are blocking free speech. You are stopping America from being able to voice their opinions, talk to each other, share their ideas. You are ruining the marketplace of ideas for socialism and fascism. And in this country, we will not stand for it. And there will be, as Levine said, a revolution. And so Zuckerberg and Dorsey, kiss my butt. With that,
He loves playing
He-
sound
he loves
effect
the
when
sound
you're
effect.
ranting and raving.
stop it! Stop it!
After a while, that kind of starts creeping me out.
Well, and Kathy and I have started, we've talked about this. I think I'm going to start wearing my robe because as a retired judge, I get to keep my robe. And I think we're going to start a segment on I'll be the judge of that.
I think it'd be a blast.
And
I
so-
think we'd have a hoot.
Kathy's going to throw stuff out at me, and I'm going to be the judge of it, and we're going to nail it down and
Get
hammer
the crew
it. and-
to say,
I
you can
think
tell
it
the
would be
crew
a
to be,
hoot.
you be the judge.
Right.
What do you
yes.
think,
Right.
crew?
Well, they can be the jury.
Oh, they
I'll be the judge. They
are.
can be the jury. There you go.
They already are the judge and jury.
Well, Letha Ann, spread the word. We
Yeah,
want to thank
Letha,
you for
welcome
joining
to the
us
show,
and
and thank you for
enjoy
sharing.
us. Fridays, we'll be back with some sports. We're going to have somebody join us and talk about golf.
Oh,
And so
yippee.
excited about that. Somebody that's right here at Venture X.
Love it.
That has also been kind enough to give us an 8 terabyte storage unit.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
yes,
right.
yes,
Yeah,
for
I
video,
got.
so we can
Love that. Well,
So grateful. Yeah, so we'll have some fun with sports and entertainment.
Charity.
And
Paul.
good.
Yeah, Paul.
Good
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, talk about charity. That was
Charity.
that was so great. And I will have a bold and the beautiful Thomas.
Oh, gosh, yes. Have your
and
update
the
mannequin.
faux mannequin, the hope faux fake. The hope mannequin has the mannequin driven Thomas to kill yet, or
Oh,
is
Lord
it a
Jesus.
soap opera
Oh, no,
brain
that's
tumor?
a 30-minute segment.
Oh,
right?
Lord Jesus. That's a 2.5
No,
hour
just
segment.
Charles, just when you interrupt me, sir.
Well, listen, everybody have a blessed day.
We love you.
Pray for this country.
Yes.
Pray for your fellow Americans. And it is time.
Join together.
It's
Join
well, it's time
together
to
in
come
love.
together. It's
It
time
is.
to come
Amen,
together.
brother. Preach it.
All
Preach
right.
it.
Have a blessed day. We'll see
We
you
love
on
you.
Friday. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow morning to MoneyLink at 7:30
Got
a.m.
it.
here on the JPK Broadcasting
And the
Network.
lawyer show.
The lawyer show from 12 to 1. Then you'll have a
Punchline Players.
Well, Punchline Players and Ask Dr. Be Good.
Oh, yes.
At
Yep,
6
that's
p.m.
right. A
and
repeat.
7
Yep.
p.m. as well. So, big lineup
Big
tomorrow.
old day.
That's right.
Big
and then
old
Friday,
day. And then my son,
join
my
us here.
veteran,
That's right.
will be on
12:30.
And the Pink Cloud will both be on after our show on Friday. So a
You've
show
got
about
Brian
sobriety, and then
Brian
a
Cuban on Friday.
Yeah, Brian Cuban is on this Pink Cloud on Friday, and then my son, my veteran. Again, we were able to have our first annual Veterans Day telethon and raise a substantial amount of money for the Texas DAV, and so Greg O'Connell will be hosting that on Friday. So Big old week.
Busy day. Busy day. All right. Be blessed. Have a blessed week,
love
and we
you.
will
God
see
bless
you
you.
on Friday.
Mwah.
And we are out.